Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. With the FA Cup fifth round coming to a conclusion, we had one more chance for an FA Cup shock. We almost had it with Spurs, but now Wigan against Manchester City, a rematch of the 2013 FA Cup final. Could Wigan once again get the better of the Premier League leaders? Could City go on and continue their quest for a quadruple? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, I'm going to briefly break down Manchester City against Wigan. So we break down Manchester City against Wigan. Obviously, it wasn't a game full of tactical themes, but at the end of the day, we have to look at it from that perspective. City dominated possession. They had loads of chances. Wigan played on the counterattack, looked to nick one goal. They did do that, but how did they do it? How did they frustrate City? How did Manchester City score a goal? When we look at the board, we kind of have the setup here. Manchester City in the red, Wigan in the blue, Wigan in kind of a 4-5-1, very deep, very narrow, very compact. City in very much of a 4-3-3. You got Fernandinho here. You got Silva and Gundogan. Silva returned to the XI. You have Leroy Sané returning to the XI. You have Bernardo Silva. You have Sergio Aguero up front. When you look at City, you have to question each player's position, each player's role, and figure out why they didn't really dominate Wigan like everyone expected them to and show the form that they've displayed in the Premier League throughout the season. When you look at it, you have to start with Sané and Silva, who have developed a great partnership throughout the season, both coming back from injury and both were showing it. Sané struggled in 1v1 situations, didn't really offer anything going forward. Didn't use his pace to get in behind the defense, try to go 1v1 with the Wigan right back, never really got past him. The combinations between Silva and Sané weren't as smooth as we've seen throughout the season. That was a big issue, and the fact was that Bernardo Silva was looking to cut in from the left, Sané was looking to cut in from the, Bernardo Silva was looking to cut in from the right, Sané was looking to cut in from the left. They're both kind of doing the same thing, and at times you'd see Sané kind of drift centrally, but no one was looking to break him behind, especially with Aguero dropping deep and not offering much. You needed someone to really break behind the lines and offer something different. He didn't really do that unless they were playing on the counterattack. And when he did get into those positions, his crosses were very poor. So then you got to go to Silva and ask, why wasn't Silva doing what he does very best? And that's creating chances, playing in Sané behind the half spaces. Well, Wigan's setup was very good, and they always had a marker pressing out to him. And even when Silva did drift into those spaces behind, they would have the right back kind of push in, or they'd have a center back step out, and the fact was that Wigan were just clogging those spaces very well, and they couldn't really get any passes from that side of the pitch into David Silva, which saw him later on in the game kind of drift over to the right and try and get on the ball from deeper areas. But Silva was practically nullified in that aspect, didn't really create any chances that you could think of apart from one or two that really were game defining or decisive. Gundogan was the actual key player in the opening stages of the game. You look at Silva, who did find him near the box, and that was one of Silva's best chances, created chances, and Gundogan fired that shot wide. It was a very tame effort. Then you look at Fernandinho winning possession in midfield and Gundogan getting the ball between the lines and forcing a save. The other chance that he got was when Danilo and Bernardo combined on the rare occasion, and they snuck into the box, but he instantly turned and fired a shot over the net. Besides that, Gundogan was very reliable in possession. He was moving around, but he didn't offer much in that respect, and that was very key. Fernandinho was also a key man in the first half because he wasn't being pressed, and that was a big issue for Wigan. You look at the pass that he played into Aguero, and Aguero, that's probably City's best chance, where he cut in on Burns, who was very fantastic throughout the game, and he forced the save on the keeper. That was Fernandinho's one of his best chances created. Then he had another great chance where he fired over the net when Delph chipped the ball over the box into Stones in half space, and he nodded it in across goal, and Fernandinho fired it over the net. But City had a lot of space. They really dominated avenues down the right side of the pitch, and that was where they were getting their best chances. But apart from that, the key players weren't really clicking. Bernardo Silva obviously was cutting in from the right, but that's not his favorite position, and he hasn't really learned how to really dominate a game from that aspect, and you can't blame him from that position because it's not a natural position. Then you look at where City struggled, because when you look at it from a width perspective, Danilo and Delph weren't really getting forward, delivering crosses from wide areas. It looked like Guardiola was very cautious of Wigan hitting them on the counterattack. He's learned from mistakes in the past, but here perhaps you'd want Danilo to just possibly push a bit forward and offer that. And then if anything, have Fernandinho shift over, have someone else shift over and do that job. And then Delph was going forward, but he was a bit more central, so that didn't really help City's game. There were a few crosses into the box, but nothing really dangerous. And Wigan didn't really have many chances in that regard on the counterattack. They had one chance where they broke forward from their box but lacked the final ball. They had the Danilo mistake of the team pass into Stones, and Grigg got onto it, ran past Stones and cut outside and fired the shot into the side netting. But apart from that, Wigan never really tested City in that respect. And when you look at it from City's perspective, you have to think that why didn't they score? What really happened? What could they change? But they were really hampered when Fabian Delph was sent off for a very dangerous tackle. They went down a man, and you're thinking in the second half, what do they do different? Nothing really changed from what Wigan did. Nick Powell came off. They brought on Fulton in midfield. He sat a bit deeper. Power went in front of him. And then they still had the wide players there playing a bit narrow. But in the second half, that forced Guardiola's hand. He replaced Sane, who was very poor. He brought on Kyle Walker. So we got to get one player out. We'll get Fabian Delph out there. We'll drop you back. And what happened was that they had Danilo from the left. They had Walker from the right. They had a man forward. They had Silva, Gundogan. Bernardo Silva played a bit higher, and Aguero continuously dropped deep. And City weren't really creating much. There was a change from Wigan where they did bring Power forward to sit on Fernandinho, so he couldn't really dictate the game from deeper positions, and City had to make a change. They brought on Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne really impacted the game in the short spell prior to the Wigan winner, and you have to look at the chances that he created and the difference that he made. He offered control, he offered width. You look at him just overlapping Bernardo over here and delivering across into the box, into the 6-yard box. Aguero had 2 efforts blocked. Shortly after that, you have Gundogan, and you have Walker bombing across Gundogan, delivering across into the box that no one attacks, and that was kind of the theme for City. Crosses were going into the boxes, but no one was attacking it. I don't know why Aguero was playing so deep and not really trying to attack balls, but that was very key. And then De Bruyne had another chance where he combined with Aguero, who dropped deep, and then he ran across and he delivered across into the 6-yard box, but it was cleared. City had their fullbacks higher. Walker was higher. Danilo was higher. They offered a bit of width. They stretched a pitch, and it helped Kevin De Bruyne get on the ball. It helped Bernardo kind of get more onto the ball. It offered control, but then you look shortly after, Wigan take the lead and win the game. An error from Walker, a mental lapse, lets the ball go under him, casually tracks back, and then Grigg gets onto it. The City center backs are flat-footed. He breaks into the box. Bravo should do better. Doesn't save it. Wigan score. Grigg gets the winner. City push forward, try to get an equalizer, try to force a replay, but Wigan sit back. They're compact, they're resolute, they're resilient, they're narrow, and they really get the job done in that aspect. City, they threw everything at the kitchen sink, couldn't get the job done. Wigan deserved credit here. They were narrow, they were compact, they were organized, they stuck to their plan, they nullified City's main strengths. They did have a few moments where they looked like they were going to concede, but Burns at center back was decisive, making last-ditch tackles, last-ditch interventions. That was pivotal. He shrugged off Bernardo when he broke free, shrugged off Sane, shrugged off Aguero. He was the key man on the night, standing tall at center back, a commanding leader, and City had no answers. They went down to 10 men. That didn't really help, but they still controlled the game when De Bruyne came on, and one mistake ruins the chance of a quadruple. Now will they get a treble? They have the Carabao Cup final coming up against Arsenal. Will they go far in the Champions League? The league's already done, but what looked to be a historic season could now derail if they don't bounce back from this. And for Wigan, off to the quarterfinal, a big achievement, and they'll be looking to possibly slay another Premier League giant. But let me know what you guys think. Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.